UFC 297 just finished, and it was an okay card overall, but man, was it long. I went to a bar with my friend and his girlfriend, and we watched the fights together, and we didn't leave till 2 a.m. The main card went on for 4 hours. There was only one finish on the whole card. The rest of them went to a decisions, and that one finish happened in like the last 10 seconds of the fight. But going out and watching the fights with a bunch of people was fun. I usually just watch them in my bedroom alone, so it was a nice change of pace. But the UFC needs to start these cards sooner. I know for you West Coast folks, it's probably nice, but for us East Coast folks, it is way too late. But let's start with that main event. Dricus du Plessis defeats Sean Strickland by a split decision to become the new middleweight champion. A lot of people are saying it's a robbery. I already talked about this in my last video, so go watch that, but I'll address it here. Close fights are not robberies. That fight could have gone either way. It could have went to Sean, and I wouldn't have been mad. It could have went to Dricus, and I wouldn't have been mad. I personally thought Sean won rounds 1, 3, and 5. It really comes down to that third round. The second and third round were the closest. Rounds 1 and 5 were clearly Sean. Round 4 was clearly Dricus. I gave that second round to Dricus, so it really comes down to the third round for me, and that third round was so close, almost dead even. I personally gave it to Sean, which would give him the fight, but if you gave it to Dricus, I wouldn't be upset about it. But it was a great fight overall. Both guys were doing a lot of stuff well. Sean was defending a lot of the leg kicks. He has made massive improvements in his leg kicking defense. It's pretty good now. Dricus was not landing a lot of the leg kicks. Some of them were still getting through, but Sean was checking most of them, and Strickland's defensive grappling looked amazing. Dricus was able to take him down. Sean was having a hard time actually defending the takedowns. Dricus was able to trip him out, was able to get him down in the clinch, but he couldn't establish any control on top of Sean. He couldn't get any offense off while he was on the ground. No ground and pound, no submission attempts, didn't even really establish any positions. Sean just wasn't accepting anything. He was constantly working while he was on the bottom, forcing scrambles, getting up, hand fighting, using the underhooks to escape and separate. He did a lot of stuff well with his grappling in this fight. It really impressed me. His jab as well was his best weapon. His jab is amazing. He has one of, if not the best jabs in all of MMA. He's so fast with it. There are no tells. He doesn't flare out his elbows. There's nothing to signify that he's about to throw a jab. And that jab was money. He was landing it so accurately too on Dricus. He was landing it right to that left eye. He was hitting that exact same spot, which caused Dricus's eye to start to swell up. That is insanely impressive. It's so hard to be that accurate. Sean's boxing defense was also amazing per usual. He was blocking a lot of those winging overhands that Dricus was throwing from the hips. He was catching and parrying the right hands. He was using some good head movement as well. And even when Dricus would land on Sean, he wouldn't land clean because Sean was rolling with all of the punches. Sean had a lot of success in that first round, but then the second round came. Dricus made some adjustments, started targeting the body. He was having a real hard time landing to the head against Sean, so he switched it up, went to the body, used the body kicks extremely effectively, started using some pressure, pushing Sean back, putting Sean on the back foot, attempted some takedowns, and even though he wasn't having much success with the takedowns, just having the threat there in the back of Sean's mind helped set up the strikes for Dricus. And I think Sean thought Dricus was gonna start to gas out because he had never gone 5 rounds in 3-round fights. His cardio hadn't looked great, but Dricus's cardio was very good. That question of does he or does he not have 5-round cardio was answered. He definitely does have the ability to go 5 rounds. I think that nose surgery he had definitely helped with his cardio, but overall it was a decent performance from both guys. Dricus definitely has some areas he needs to improve on, especially in the striking department. He was looping on pretty much everything, which made it really easy for Sean to see and defend his strikes. Dricus's defensive striking also didn't look too good, and Sean really needs to work on defending the body shots. He was checking a lot of the leg kicks. He was defending and avoiding a lot of the head strikes. There were a few head kicks that partially got through, but those body punches were the most effective weapon for Dricus, and easily Sean's biggest hole defensively. As for what these guys should do next, I wouldn't mind an immediate rematch. There's not really any clear #1 contender. Both Izzy and Hamzat need another fight. Jared Cannonier is probably the most deserving out of everyone, having that win over Sean Strickland, absolutely dominating Marvin Vettori, but he did just get a title shot against Israel Adesanya not too long ago, and he got absolutely dominated, and it wasn't the most entertaining fight. So what I think you should do, because it was so competitive, you do the rematch between Strickland and Dricus, and then you have Izzy and Hamzat fight for the #1 contender spot. And then we go to Raquel Pennington beating Mayra Bueno Silva by a unanimous decision to become the new bantamweight champion. A Amanda Nunes retired and Raquel has filled in her spot. Silva looked good in the first round. She was landing some decent strikes. It was pretty even on the feet in that first round, but then she got her back, started threatening with the rear naked choke, almost got it at one point, but then the second round came and it was a very competitive round. Silva was still having some success in the grappling, but Raquel Pennington was starting to land. She was putting good combinations on her. That left hook specifically was constantly landing on Silva. Very close second round, and then Silva completely gassed out. She used all of her energy trying to finish her. Those chokes, when you go to choke someone out, you are squeezing so tight that your arms just, if you don't get the choke, your arms just completely gas out. And I think that led to Silva getting tired. But Pennington was so tough, had an amazing chin, pretty good submission defense, weathered the storm, and then in those third, fourth, and fifth rounds, she was outboxing her. Her boxing in the pocket looked very good. As I said, that left hook was landing all day. She even was winning some grappling exchanges. She went for an arm triangle while on top. So overall, it was a great performance from Raquel Pennington, and I guess you do her versus Juliana Pena next. Neil Magny gets the big upset win over Mike Malott, TKOs him late in the third round. Malott was winning the fight. Those leg kicks continue to be a huge weapon against Neil Magny. We saw Ian Gary almost finish Neil Magny with leg kicks. We saw Mike Malott use them very effectively here. The first leg kick he landed, literally the very first leg kick, wobbled Neil Magny. Magny was having pretty much no success in the striking. Mike Malott was methodically picking him apart from a distance with the leg kicks. His boxing looked pretty good as well. He then started to mix in the takedowns, was controlling Neil Magny on top, but Neil Magny was able to weather the storm, and then that third round came, and Mike Malott completely gassed out. Neil Magny got on top, and it seemed like Malott just didn't know how to get up from the bottom. He had never been put in that position before. He was tired, in an uncomfortable position he's not used to being in, and Neil Magny starts raining down ground and pound, and with like 10 seconds left in the fight, the ref steps in. But what a performance from Neil Magny. Although he didn't look great, he was definitely losing the fight. He showed an insane amount of toughness. His experience really showed here. He was able to weather the storm and TKO'd Mike Malott. The Canadians had a real rough night. Speaking of the Canadians having a rough night, Chris Curtis wins a split decision over Marc-André Barriault. And it was a cool fight. The first two rounds were pretty slow. Both guys were feeling each other out a little bit. Neither of them seemed to want to engage with the other. But then that third round came and they just went at it. They were both in the pocket. Chris Curtis was landing some good combinations. Barriault was landing some good elbows. And overall, it's a cool fight. Very close. I personally did give it to Chris Curtis, but it really could have gone either way. Movsar Evloev and Arnold Allen had a good fight. Movsar ended up winning a unanimous decision, and I thought it was the right decision. I've seen a lot of people say Arnold Allen should have won. It was a close fight. I personally had it 2-1 to Movsar. It really comes down to that first round, which I did give to Movsar, but it was a very close round. I could have seen it going either way. We did have those illegal knees, which are apparently legal knees. I didn't know this. I've been watching MMA for a long time. I didn't know it had to be your palm on the ground. Your fingers on the ground don't count as a grounded opponent. So those, 4 or 5 knees Arnold Allen landed were actually legal shots. But both guys look pretty good here. Arnold Allen's wrestling and grappling defense looked amazing. Movsar went 5 for 17 on his takedowns, and even when he did get taken down, Allen was still able to get up pretty well. He was rolling out of a lot of positions, forcing scrambles. He used his footwork very well to evade a lot of the takedowns. He was able to outmuscle Movsar on some of them. He was clearly the stronger fighter. It's just when he defended the takedowns, he didn't really capitalize on it. He was a little gun shy on the feet. He wasn't throwing as much as he probably should have, and when he was throwing, he was landing pretty good. He was having a good amount of success with the body shots, but he did get hurt at one point. Movsar landed a good, I think it was a 2-punch combo that really hurt Arnold Allen. He was almost out, but he was able to recover and stuck in the fight. It went to a decision. It was pretty close. Movsar got the nod from the judges, which I agree with. As for what's next from Movsar, there's so many fights you could put together in the featherweight division. If Max Holloway comes back down to 145 after the Justin Gaethje fight, you could do him versus Holloway. You could do him versus the winner of Yair Ortega. You could do him versus Josh Allen. You could do him versus the winner of Calvin Kattar and Aljamain Sterling. He's probably one fight away from the title shot if he gets the right opponent. As for Arnold Allen, I think you do him versus Giga Chikadze. That makes the most sense in my opinion, but there's still a bunch of fights you could put on with him. The featherweight division is one of the most interesting divisions in all of MMA right now. And then let's go to some of these prelims. Garrett Armfield wins a unanimous decision over Brad Katona. Pretty much just outboxed him. Armfield was able to defend a lot of the takedowns. Brad Katona pretty much couldn't get anything off on the ground besides a bit of control time. The leg kicks were a good weapon from both guys. Don't know why Brad Katona didn't use the leg kicks more. He was trying to box with Armfield, which Armfield is just the better boxer. So good win here from Garrett Armfield. Sean Woodson beats Charles Jourdain by a split decision. It was a good fight. There was that mix-up at the end where Sean Woodson thought Jourdain had won and Jourdain thought he had won, but Bruce actually said Woodson's name. I don't know what went wrong there. I thought it was right. I thought Sean Woodson definitely should have won. He defended all the takedowns. He was landing some good knees, some good kicks. He was just overall outstriking Charles Jourdain. Jourdain could not hit this guy in the head. He was having success with the body and especially the leg kicks. The leg kicks were the best weapon from Jourdain, but Woodson's head striking defense looked very good and he just overall outstruck him. Serhiy Sidey and Ramon Taveras put on a good fight. Ramon Taveras took the split decision victory in their rematch. Some people are saying Serhiy Sidey. Is it Sidey or Sidey? I've heard both of them. But either way, a lot of people are saying Serhiy Sidey should have won. It was close. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the fight. It was probably the best fight on the prelims. Gillian Robertson put on an amazing performance against Polyana. Viana knocked her out in the second round. Gillian was able to take her down pretty easily. Viana's takedown defense looked awful. Was able to control her. Landed some good ground and pound shots. Started attempting a few submissions. And even on the feet, Gillian was getting the advantage of her. So great performance from Gillian Robertson. I'm really excited to see where she goes. She has a lot of potential to do a lot of great things in the strawweight division. Jasmine Jasudavicius, I can't say her last name, put on an amazing performance against Priscila. Cachoeira? Is that how you say it? I have no clue how to pronounce either of these girls' last names, but Jasmine put on an amazing performance. Absolute domination from start to finish. She was piecing her up on the feet and then took her down and started landing big ground and pound shots. This was one of the most dominating performances I've ever seen. Jasmine landed 326 punches. Priscila landed 26. She landed 300 more strikes, which is absurd. And then in the third round, she got that anaconda choke. She was attempting submissions throughout the entire fight. Third round finally came, got the choke, and finished Priscila. Priscila was tough in this fight, but man, she got dominated. But anyways, that is the end of the video. That's all the fights. That is my full card breakdown of UFC 297. It was an okay card, but the cards we got coming up, 298, 299, and 300 are all insane, and I'm going to be covering all of them, so subscribe so you don't miss those videos. Turn on post notifications. Like the video if you did enjoy. Leave your opinions on this card in the comments down below. Who do you think won the main event? Do you think Arnold Allen was robbed? Leave anything you want in the comments down below. I love reading them. Even the ones where you guys hate on me and call me an idiot. I like reading those too.